everybody, thanks for joining Create with Dee. Today we'll be making this, actually not the card, but we're going to be making this little bookmark corner. Isn't this such a cute little technique? Again, this is a bookmark, and so that the recipient of your little bookmark, they can just take it. It's got a nice little corner, and they can mark their pages. So let's get started making this project. Okay, in order to make the corner, the corner bookmark, all you need for the base is one 4x4 inch 4x4 piece of cardstock and one 2 3/4 inch square. That's all that's needed for the base of it. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to, on our 4-inch square, and of course this happens to be Whisper White, I'm going to mark the halfway point on 3 of the sides. And so since this is a 4-inch square, I'm going to be marking it, putting a dot at 2 inches. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to score. And you can do this if you would prefer to do it on your scoring blade or a score pal. For me, all I need to do is just take a ruler, at this point then, and just match up the dots. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll score one set of it, and I'll turn it, and we'll do the other. Get that scored. And then we'll just fold them in. Make sure we got a nice crease on it. Okay, so that's it. That is the basic design of our bookmark. So that's all there is to it. And then what we'll want to do is we'll want to make sure that we use sticky strip or other strong adhesive to make sure that that doesn't, that it adheres nice and everything. But what we want to do first, or what I like to do first, is decorate the front. And so for my project, what I did first is I punched the scallop trim down, or the eyelet trim down at the bottom. So I'll be right back after we get that done. Okay, so again, I used my eyelet border and I've punched the bottom of it. And what I used is I've got the color scheme of Old Olive and Pretty in Pink. And so for the Pretty in Pink, I need 2 strips of 4-inch by 1-inch cardstock. And so the first thing I'm going to do is adhere it here at the bottom. Get my snail adhesive out. And we'll get that here. And then I've already tied a knot into the ribbon, and I'm going to adhere it off to the side. And so what I want to do is I'm going to put some snail adhesive here along the back where the ribbon's going to be. So excuse me while I have it facing me for just a second. I like to have the bow off to the side pretty far because my embellishment piece is going to come, it's a fairly large one that I chose to do. Okay, just snip this off. Okay, and the reason why we're going to need this second strip is I want to cover that ribbon. I want to make sure that it doesn't snag on any of the pages or anything. So that's the second, I guess the second strip here. And we'll just cover that up. Okay, now the ribbon's going to be nice and covered up and it won't snag. And one of the things I just remembered I forgot to do is I inked the edges on my original one here. So if you wanted to come in with Pretty in Pink first and edge, you could do that. Okay, so now let's make this little square piece here. And I did that by taking 2 two squares, Old Olive and Whisper White, and these are cut at 2.5 inch. Again, they're 2.5 inch square. And on the Whisper White, what I did is I stamped the image from Elements of Style, this rose up here, and I colored it in. And I used a Stampin' marker, again pretty in pink, and I just colored in the rose images. And when I use the marker, I try to use a swirl pattern or a swirl technique to kind of get in there. So I'll be back once all of those are done. Okay, so I have all of my roses colored in, and again I stamped this with Old Olive. And I wanted this to have a real antique-y look, so I used the tear technique. And how I do it is I hold my finger there as kind of a guide, and I just start to pull it towards me. And so I'm going to just take a little bit of the edge off on all four sides. Again, kind of using my finger there as a guide so I don't inadvertently rip into the design I just colored. Okay, come back. Okay, so I have the other two sides torn off, and again I was just freehanding ripping it. And now I'm taking my sponge dauber and coming back with Pretty in Pink. I've got a Stampin' spot, and I'm going to, ink around and make it kind of have that aged look a little bit. And on this one, I'm going to do the crinkle technique of the paper. After I got my image, I'm just going to kind of crinkle it up and uncrinkle it, and that kind of gives it, again, that worn and weathered look. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, again, just with snail adhesive, I'm going to come back on this one, or get it attached. Okay, and that messed up look is what I wanted, so that's the difference in when you just crinkle the paper and when you don't. And I have an old pair of scissors here because I can't find my distresser, and I'm going to go ahead and distress the edges of my cardstock too, of the Old Olive. Again, you definitely would not want to do that with any of your good scissors. So now I'm ready to finish up this project. Go ahead and adhere my image up here in the corner. Okay, and now I'm ready to go ahead and use sticky strip for the back side. Be back in a second. Okay, I have my sticky strip on, and at the beginning I said we would need a 2 3/4 inch square. What we want to do is cut it at the diagonal, and so that we have a diamond piece, and then this diamond piece will go on the back side of our bookmark and go over the sticky strip and keep it nice and reinforced that way. Okay, so now we've made our bookmark, and we're ready to give either a cute card or gift or just the bookmark alone. And here's one that I did using the artistic etchings thing too. I just squared that off and put that on as well. So have fun with the bookmarks, everybody. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.